so let's get back on track, if you pardon the pun, onto the video. So today we're here with another review. I know it has been a while since I last did one of these, but there's been good reason for it. The main reason is because I wanted to get the 009 project out of the way first before I went back into doing reviews. I mean, regardless, I know only part 1 and part 2 of that project has been uploaded. I have yet to film part 3 and part 4, which the latter is going to be the final part. But I wanted to get part 1 and part 2 of the 009 project out of the way first before I was going to do any review videos. And also, there are a couple of reasons why that I'm not going to say because they're personal, why it has been a while since I've been doing reviews as well, but I'm not going to go into them because I don't want to bore you to death and drone on and on and on. So today we're here to have a look at a Hornby model, as you can see, and today we're looking at something rather special because we are going to be having a look at the Hornby Princess. Now this is not just any princess. This is a model of 46201 Princess Elizabeth, one of the 2 princesses in preservation. But what makes this model even more special is that this model was released in 2004, which was released to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Hornby Railways Catalogue, or the then 50th anniversary of the catalogue when it was released back then. And so to celebrate, Hornby released this model of Princess Elizabeth in BR black livery, and this model is based on the original Triangle model of Princess Elizabeth, which did come out in this very livery. However, the princesses in real life also did carry BR black. However, they would have worn the BR lined black liveries. They wouldn't have been in the unlined black livery. I mean, I have seen a photograph in real life of Princess Elizabeth in BR lined black, but I haven't seen one of Princess Elizabeth in the unlined black livery. And based on the photos I've seen, it seems that the princesses only wore the BR lined version of the BR black livery. They didn't wear the unlined version. But this model is meant to be based on the original Triangle model, and so it does. I actually bought this during my holiday back in August. I cannot remember the name of the shop at the top of my head, to be honest with you, but I got this at a bargain price for £65, and I'm not joking. As you can see there on the price tag, but I got it for £65, and it was second hand. And I haven't actually ran this model much, to be honest, either. I've only test run it, but since then it's been lying in its box waiting to be reviewed, as other models have been. Now, I bought this model simply because I haven't yet got a princess in my collection. Because the princess is something that I have actually refrained myself from getting until now. And so when I went into that model shop and saw this, I thought, wow, I've just got to get this. I mean, the livery does look quite smart, in my opinion. And also, for a bargain of £65, I just simply couldn't resist it. And so I just had to buy it. And also, there aren't too many of these models of Princess Elizabeth in BR black going around up for sale. I mean, I have seen a few of them on eBay, but this is the only one that I've ever come across in person in a model shop that's been for sale. And the ones that I have seen on eBay have been going for a lot more than £65. So that is an absolute bargain, and I'm well happy with this. I mean, for granted, tooling wise, the model is not 100% perfect. It is a model that is in need of a retool, but I'm sure that Hornby will retool it eventually. I mean, I was well happy last year when they announced the retooled Duchess, so who knows, maybe we'll get the Princess next. You never know. Now, this model, I'm choosing this model to review today because I did do a poll via Twitter, because I've got 4 models waiting to be reviewed, including this one, the others being a Bachmann Coal Sector Livery 37, a Hornby T9 and a Hornby M7 tank. And out of the 4 I couldn't choose, or couldn't decide rather, which to review first. And so based on the results of the poll, people wanted to see this model being reviewed first out of the 4. And so your wish is my command. This model is indeed being the one that is being reviewed first, obviously. So I hope you've enjoyed this particular review. Right, so let's get to the unboxing. So first of all, we'll slide off the box sleeve. And on the front you have a picture of the model that you get. And there's another photo of the model as well, from the top. And of course you've got this banner around the side of the box, telling you that in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Hornby Catalogue, this model is being released. And on the back, you have all the various different catalogues. You get the first catalogue that was released in 1955, and the model that this one is based on, the original Triangle Railways Princess Elizabeth, in the BR black with the early emblem, which is the livery, of course, that this model is in. Then you have the 11th edition of the catalogue, released in 1965, the 21st edition released in 1975, and then in 1985 came the 31st edition, followed by the 41st edition in 1995, and then in 2004 the 50th edition. So it's really quite nice that Hornby made a model to celebrate this milestone of sorts, and it would be interesting to see if they did this again, actually. But anyway, so now we come on to the actual unboxing itself. This is the old style Hornby packaging with the finger hole in the back of the box. Not 100% keen on this packaging, but there we go. But it has been done away with since. So just put the box to one side, and then we get the certificate. And this one is numbered 0541. And I shall be putting this into my folder of certificates later on, because I do have a folder to keep my certificates in for limited edition models I get. So that looks very nice. I'm going to put that to one side. Then we get the instruction manual for the Princess. And it's all the usual stuff we've seen before. Lubrication, where to put the oil, to remove the locomotive body and replace the motor if you want. We've seen that before, so I'll put that in my folder of instructions later on. And so now we unbox the model. We'll start by pushing out the locomotive first. And there is a polystyrene block in the cab, which I'm just going to remove now. And we might as well take the tissue paper off as well, which I don't like, to be honest. It's not the best thing to wrap models up in, but there we go. And then we do have a detail pack in here, which we will look at just now. So in this bag of details we get a piece of paper to tell you where to fit some of the details, in this case the brake rods, a couple of footsteps to go on the front of the loco, as well as a coupling with the little screw to fix into the little hole there to fix the coupling in place, so you can fit that on the front of the loco if you want. And also you get that little hook there as well to just simply clip into place on the coupling. Then last but not least, we'll take out the tender. The tissue paper can go in the bin. Then we put the box to one side, and then we just bring the model into shot. And there is some polystyrene bits on the model there, so I'll just brush them off with a makeup brush. In fact, I might as well just give this a quick dusting down on the tender. Okie dokie. So I think we'll start with the locomotive first, and then we'll come on to the tender later. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is the weight. Now, this is not the most heaviest model I've ever held, but there is quite a bit of weight in this model regardless. So there's enough weight here for this model to be able to pull a train, a decent sized train at least, because the weight is important in these models, because without the weight this model can't pull anything, because the weight is there to provide the traction for the model, so it can pull stock around your layout. So that's why these models need to have weight. Moving on to detail now, we have sprung metal buffers, as you can see. Now, I'm not a fan of sprung buffers, as I've said many times before. I don't really have much care for sprung buffers, but they're there, and so if you do like sprung buffers, then they will make you happy. We then come on to the buffer beam, which has a coupling hook and a separately fitted brake pipe. We also have some separately fitted lamp irons on the running board, and also a couple of rivets as well on the running board, and just behind the middle lamp iron you've got the cylinder layout there with rivets on, which looks really nice. And then just at the side of these lamp irons, either side of the running board, you have these small metal separately fitted handrails, which do look really nice, and I do love the silver look on them as well. There's also quite a bit of detail on the smoke box door as well, which includes rivets around the side, as you can see, a lamp iron, which doesn't seem to have been separately fitted, it is moulded, but done very cleverly, a separately fitted metal handrail, as well as the smoke box door hinges and the smoke box door darts, which the darts are moulded, they're not separately fitted. And also you do have a blank shed code plate and a blank number plate. At the top there of the smoke box door darts, you would normally have the number plate at the front, which in this case the model doesn't have it. In reality it would do if it was painted in this livery, but then again, as this model is based on the Triangle one in this livery, Triangle never put a running number on the front of the smoke box door anyway, so that's something I do quite like. You could, however, buy a brass number plate from either Fox Transfers or Narrow Planet, but I'm not going to really want to do that, because I don't really want to alter this model in any such a way. I want to leave it as it is. But anyway, moving back onto the detail, we do have a nice chimney with some rivets around it. You could add a smoke generator unit in there if you wanted to, but this isn't my thing, so I'm not going to bother. But you can do it if you want to, though. There's also quite a lot of rivets on the smoke box there, as you can see, which is a very nice piece of detail to have and very realistic too. We also have the outer steam pipes as well, which look very nice. And of course you've got the wheel arches and the mechanical lubricators as well on the running board there, which looks very nice. And we've also got a separately fitted metal reversing lever as well. There's also a very nice separately fitted metal handrail as well, running down alongside of the boiler, and a nice silver one as well. And just underneath that you have some pipework running underneath the handrail alongside the boiler there. And you do also have the nameplates as well. They're not etched ones, they're just plastic nameplates with the name printed on them, but they do look nice though. And again, you could easily buy some etched ones from somewhere if you wanted to put them on, but I'm not going to bother, because like I said, I'm going to be leaving the model as it is. Now there is some very nice detail on the frames of the locomotive. As you can see, there's a bit of rivet detail on there, which makes the model more realistic. We also have some guard irons on the front of the bogie there, some very nice rivets on the cylinders, and we can't leave out all the side rods and the link motion and the valve gear. I can't wait to see all that moving on the model like you do in the real thing. Really is always a pleasure to see, in real life and on the model. We also have the top feed on the top of the boiler. It is moulded on, but I'm not really fussed about that. Then just behind that we have the dome, which looks very nice. We also have the turned brass safety valves and whistle, separately fitted, and they look very nice. And we have also got some glazing in the cab windows, both in the side and the front windows, and they look very nice. Always nice to see glazing in the models. The detail on the roof is also quite nice. We have some rivets on the top of the cab roof and a couple of roof vents which don't open, but they are moulded in a way so that they are actually open, as you can see, by that little gap in between them. And that actually does look quite nice, rather than just having it be moulded so that the vents are shut. On the cab sides we've got loads of rivets, as you can see, as well as the locomotive's running number, 46201, crisply printed on the sides there. And just underneath the cab we've got some pipework there, which is not painted, but I'm not fussed about that. But you can paint it yourself if you wish, but I'm not going to be doing that. And also, on the rear pony truck, you've got an axle box and a spring, which looks very nice. And there's also a bit of rivet detail there as well. On the ends of the cab we've got some separately fitted small metal handrails there, and this model also has the old style tender connector, as you can see. Moving on to the cab detail, which there is some cab detail inside the model, but none of it is painted regardless. But you can do that yourself, so I'm not really fussed about when you get models that don't have painted cab detail, because it is quite fun to do yourself. Now the livery on this model really is quite stunning. They've got the correct shade of black, which is very nice and finely applied, and very nice and very even as well, so there's no errors in the paintwork. And also I just love how the metal handrails are finished in silver. It really does highlight them on the model. And I also do like as well how the reversing lever as well on this is silver, because again it really does highlight those bits of detail in the livery as well, so it makes the model look even more nicer. And then on the other side of the model, the detail is pretty much more or less the same. The only difference on this side of the model is that it doesn't have the reversing lever or the pipework running alongside the handrail on this side of the model. Moving on to the tender now, which does have a little bit of weight in it, but it doesn't need a massive amount of weight in there, to be honest. But there is a little bit in there. The faceplate of the tender is quite nice. We've got some storage cabinets there, as you can see, and a couple of handles there for the water to be transferred from the tender to the boiler. And there's also some rivets on the tender buffer beam, as well as tender buffers as well. Again, we have some separately fitted metal handrails on the front of the tender. The tender is also covered with rivets, which is a brilliant bit of detail to have on the model as always, because it makes the model look more realistic and adds more detail. And again, the livery is very finely and evenly applied as well, and again the accurate shade of black paint as well. The BR early emblem is very crisply printed on the tender sides, and it does look stunning, I've got to say. We also have some footsteps on the tender with rivet detail on them, and on the tender frames we have axle boxes and springs. And on the rear of the tender we again have some separately fitted metal handrails. Very much like on the loco, the tender has sprung metal buffers, as you can clearly see. We have a coupling fitted on the tender, of course, because this model needs to pull stock. There's a coupling hook on the buffer beam and a separately fitted brake pipe, and there's also some rivets on the buffer beam on the tender as well. Curiously, there's no rivets on the locomotive buffer beam though. There's also loads of rivets on the back of the tender, as well as some separately fitted lamp irons. We also have some air tanks and a water filler cap on the tender. The water filler cap itself, it doesn't open, but then again we don't really expect it to. And to be honest, it doesn't really need to be either, because if it did, it would probably make the model more expensive. So I like the fact there's a water filler cap there anyway. And there is a coal load in the tender, only it isn't removable, it's just moulded in. You could, if you wanted to, however, finally scatter some real coal on it, but it would have to be done in a way so that if you didn't put too much on, because otherwise it would be really overfilled. But I'm not going to add any real coal in the tenders, that's not really much of a problem, to be honest. And bear in mind this tooling is quite old now. And the other side of the tender has exactly the same amount of detail as it is on the other side. No different on this side. So now we come on to the running performance for the Princess. And it is running quite smoothly. Although considering it's been sat in this box for a while, it will need some running in, which will improve as it runs in. Moving on to the loaded test run now, and you can see the Princess with the rake of maroon coaches. And that's a rake of 7, so that's the full rake I have, and you can see that she's clearly easily managing to pull that. And that just shows you why the weight is important. So overall then, yes, the tooling of this Princess is not perfect and it is in need of a retool. But to be honest, even if this tooling is not perfect, this model is still rather good and it is still nice. And especially if you can get hold of this one, then it is most definitely worth getting. So overall, I'm going to rate the Hornby Princess Elizabeth in BR Black a 7 out of 10. This has been Class 47 Peter reviewing the Hornby Princess Elizabeth, exclusively produced for the 50th anniversary of the catalogue in 2004, and I'll see you again soon for the next review. But until then, over and out.